Okay, hello. Anomaly, welcome in. How's it going out there? We're back. More Mitchie DM Gauntlet action to see who wins the right to go face Ula in the round of 4. Should be good. Bring us over here. It looks like they have just jumped into their game 1, but of course there will be spec delay, so we're still right on time. So, no Celts, Khmer, Persians, Saracens, or Tatars. We've seen a lot of Hindustanis, seen some Gurjaras, Teutons, Slavs. These have kind of been the go-to civs, it seems like, from what I've seen with these bands. We'll see if these players follow suit yet again. Or, well, Frost went Maya, I guess, technically, in the previous round. So hopefully Frost knows what round he's in and doesn't pick anything that leaves him in a hole, so to speak. Let me get us over onto... Where are we? Here, and we can see what civs they have in store for us. Okay, so it is going to be some familiar faces. Hindustanis is going to be the civ for Frost 9, and it is the Teutons for Bio. Should be... I don't know. Hindustanis have just been beast mode, right? I think Hindustanis probably forces the Teutons to maybe think more about Teutonic Knights, right? And less about Paladin. Teutonic Paladin are very strong, but I think you cannot do that against the camels, right? We talked about Halb being situationally viable against some civilizations, but they feel pretty bad just generally because of the resources they take, because of the population space that they require. So curious to see what the game plan is for Bio here. I guess if you go for either of those, there is always the Hindustani hand cannons, but then you've got this really good Teuton siege, so I don't know if you ever really want to go heavy into the hand cannons per se. We shall see. Frost 9 obviously is the favorite, so fair warning, I will probably be somewhat biased in Bio's favor because I always like an underdog, but we'll see. Let me make sure I've got this all set up. Looks good. And get into game 1. Frost, in the other tournaments I've cast Frost in, tends to not lose any games, let alone sets. And he did pull off the win with the Maya. Rooting for Bio as well. Nice. All right. We'll all get down for some... Ooh, he's going for the immediate tree line TC is interesting. I am going to have to change. I think we'll change bio to red here so we're not hitting the double blue. Welcome in game 1. BioTiNe, I'm not quite sure how he says his full name, versus Frost9 here in the Michi DM Gauntlet. Turbo speed, 400 population cap. I think those are the main things you need to know if you're tuning in for the first time. We have the Teutons here for bio. It is going to be the Hindustanis for Frost9. The Hindustanis have been very, very good so far in this tournament. Teutons have not been bad either, though. We've seen the Teutons do well in a couple different matchups. It was against... Who was it the first... I'm forgetting the first few times I've seen Teutons now. But almost pulled off the win against the Romans yesterday in the Ula Eisen. We'll see if the Teutons can pull off a victory here in this one. So backwood line is pretty rough for Frost here. Also kind of here messes up where you want the markets to be. So not the best wood lines back here for Frost. Bio is going to have to chop and mine through a lot of ore in the back here actually for Bio. But should be a-okay long term, I believe. We're in the booming phase. Frost was quicker to the trade carts. I guess the other thing you need to know is there is a 15-minute treaty before players can cut through with siege or do any aggression of any kind. So, gonna start out with a big boom. Frost a little bit ahead, but not too much. And he's actually a little bit housed here. But he should be completing castles shortly, and that should alleviate the problem. From what I understand, my knowledge is still somewhat limited for this format, but I do believe the tree line TC is not the ideal. You can see Frost just kind of spammed out TCs right where he started. But he's not ahead on the villager production, even with that, right? Was a little bit faster to the trade, I suppose. So, totally economically, Frost is still... It's still even, though. It's still even. It's a good start. It's a good start for Bio. Walls begin to come up for both players. And the question on my mind is, what is the composition here for the Teutons against the Hindustanis? Usually it's Paladin Siege, but I don't think even with the extra armor on the Teuton Paladin, you can go Paladin against the Hindustani Camels. So it feels like it's going to have to be infantry. But we'll see. Villagers flocking to the wood lines and getting a little gummed up. Ison, hello, hello. How's it going? Might see some Teutonic Knights. That's what I'm hoping for. I'd like to see some Teutonic Knights. I think if you're forcing, even if the Hindustanis technically have an okay answer in the hand cannons, I think forcing the Hindustanis to go hand cannon is just valuable, right? Much easier to deal with the hand cannons with SO, even Scorpions if you want to. So I think there's some answers there that the Teutons have. Bio going for the double wall, the double great wall to start out. And Frost is starting to get his caravanserai into effect. This trade line is a little scuffed still. I think once this tree line goes down, it'll look a little bit better. Although the market is super far forward, right? Usually you'd want the market straight in the corner, but was there not space here because of this tree? I think there... Ooh, are markets 5x5? I actually am for 4x4. I think it could have fit here, right? It's close, maybe not. Alright, we've got lots of layers of walls coming up. For Bio, it's going to be triple layer walls. No what do I want to say, trade wall necessarily, but keeping more of the eco secure is not a bad thing. You're worried about Bio playing scared due to it being frost? Yeah, there's always the frost effect, right? There's always the frost effect of knowing you're going up against the guy who's probably the best in the world at what you're doing. It always feels a little bad. I've seen so many players in other DM formats against Frost really have a very secure advantage and just not play aggressive enough because they don't believe they can do it that way against Frost. So I do think the best course of action is just playing your game regardless of who your opponent is. Obviously, like, you know, if you have knowledge of your opponent's strategies or potential weaknesses or whatever, obviously take advantage of that. But at the end of the day, you can't play scared, I don't think. Both players popped up. Bio even pre-deleting some villagers to get some more trades, so trying to hit that perfect balance. We are one villager and trade cart different between the two players. So, as the fourth layer of wall comes up here for Bio, this tells me we're hoping not to lose too much ground, right? Because if you're building your base this way, if you start losing walls here, there's not much behind the walls, right? It's just kind of wall castles at the front and then wall eco. So if you lose any ground to Frost, feels like it's going to be difficult. Frost just going for the single layer of wall right now on his trade, and I guess is getting his woodline secured as well. All right, 15 seconds, and the cutting can begin. SO, or not SO, just the O, coming out for Frost, and SO for Bio. On the other side, both players just want to push straight down the middle, which I think is how you have to do it as the Teutons especially, but it's kind of how Frost always wants to do it, I think. He's like a one big push kind of guy most of the time. And here come the camels. It is going to be mostly Teutonic Knights, so there are some Paladin out. I think that's fine. But Teutonic Knights, Capey boys. Actually, I'm glad I switched Bio into the red because the red capes look tremendous. So the Teutonic Knights should do very well against the camels. They won't necessarily kill them super fast, but they'll take virtually no damage, right? It's 13 melee armor. Yeah, so they are literally taking 1 damage, right? There's no bonus damage here that makes any sense. So hand cannons behind for Frost are needed, but they are very susceptible to the SO, and we can see some big shots already coming in for Bio. Ison prefers the Hindustanis. If there is more than one opening, yeah. So the question is Frost going to... I mean, we're almost chopping through to our opponent here in the fairly short term. But right now it's one big fight. I do think that should favor the Teutons. Frost still mixing in some camels, needs something to be able to dive the siege. And they do a pretty good job of clearing up some SO, but there's still a lot of siege here. Shots into the camels. Land pretty well. And shots into the hand cannons landing pretty well as well. It's a pretty good opening push for Bio. Buying more stone. Not sure for what yet, but I think fortifying the middle here is a good idea. Paladin now rolling through for Bio. I like mixing in some Paladin again for siege sniping purposes. Although you can just use your own siege, I guess. There are some Halberdier as well for Bio. So we talked about that a bit yesterday, how Alp can be good, but it's not pop efficient, and it's using wood, which is long-term the most valuable resource here. But should do okay. It gives you a little bit more production too, right? If you're worried about how many castles you have behind to produce the Teutonic Knights from, sometimes you just need more production, so that could also be the thinking. A good forward position. Bombard towers coming up for Bio at the front, as well as a castle in the middle. Frost has cut through at the top, but it's not really a push yet. But surely something will be coming here, I would think. Frost is kind of getting crushed in the middle right now. Camels are going to come out. Scorpions behind. I actually do like some Scorpions mixed in here. But that's a lot of siege going down. Castle will complete for Bio. This is the Crenellation's castle as well, so massive range on this guy. Not too... well, I guess there are quite a few hand cannons in here for Frost. They're just kind of a little bit further back. Bombard cannons theoretically are countered by the Crenellation's castle. And Frost really just cut through here to re-wall it, huh? Okay. He's focused in the middle, I suppose. But I don't know. The camels simply roll through. Teutonic Knights destroy them, but only if they can get into a fight. And we're sniping some siege reinforcements. That's really good value. This is not a good fight, but I suppose just having a pretty beefy unit in front, even if they're doing no damage, allows your gunpowder to do some nasty things from behind. Trebs rolled forward for Bio, but they get sniped. Wall actually goes down to purely infantry here. Bombard cannons need to back up a little bit. This is a lot of SO, which can be devastating on either side because Frost is going to roll out with the camels again. And how much SO will be standing after this charge? Still a fair amount. Frost does consistently have more military on the field. It's a bit more eco for Bio. You can see the trade numbers especially are quite a bit different. Frost with a huge wood advantage, but a big food advantage for Bio. The food actually not super high for Frost. He's trying to pump out, I mean, all these things cost food, right? Camels, hand cannons, even the elephants cost food. So you do have to have quite a bit of eco on that resource as the Hindustanis. Okay, nothing happening up there still. More and more castles, only a few trebuchets on the field for Frost right now. And again, can't really dive the castles with the bombard cannons. That was a nice shot. Got to back up with the gunpowder. More bombard cannons going down to the SO. That's nice. And now Frost has to try and save his hand cannons. Where's the military for Frost? There's another hole that's been, I think, chopped through here. But where's Frost's military, man? Some camels roll in again. Guess he's got 70 more military units on the field, but they're just not in this fight. It's a little bit awkward getting through all these one-tile choke points, actually. SO getting big shots on the hand cannons, but maybe there are simply enough camels here. The Hindustanis are so funny because it doesn't matter how like countered their unit should be. The like Imperial camels are just so strong. It's crazy. Doesn't matter if they're fighting. We saw them absolutely crush the elephants with the Bengali elephants with the bonus damage resistance, right? Which feels like it should be okay, but they just crushed them. Now they're throwing themselves into Teutonic Knights, and they're still... I mean, they don't win the fight straight up, but it's so much value sniping the siege around the back like this. Yeah, I should do the... always forget to switch to military view, but it actually helps a lot in these instances. You can see both players just completely slamming their militaries into the middle. Frost is up to 100 on food now. I think that's probably enough to maintain production, even though he doesn't have a lot in the bank. I think the equilibrium is probably okay at that level. Big SO shots. First castle does fall behind, though. For Bio. We've got siege elephants. Really feel like they should do more damage against units. I feel like if this elephant gouged me, I'd be pretty injured, but they really don't do that much. Another castle is being trebbed down. This is the issue right now for Bio, right? Frost can just consistently dive with the camels and snipe out your siege like this, because the only thing you have to deal with the camels are the Teutonic Knights, and they just can't keep up with them. So as long as Frost is able to micro his camels forward, it's tough, but SO get one really good shot on the bombard cannons, but they're going down heavily behind this. Ooh, some pretty big self-damage as well there. Friendly fire. Sometimes tough. There's nothing in front of the siege right now. I don't like this fight very much. I think they're trying to dive on the hand cannons, but they cannot get through the sea of camels that Frost9 is throwing forth. Easy win? For who? Frost? Usually, if anyone says easy win, it's because of Frost, but I won't make any assumptions. Frost, of course, okay. I think it's looking okay, right? The wood is already kind of an issue for Bio. He just really did not collect enough wood, it feels like. And consistently losing the siege behind like this does not help your wood situation either. Frost is still on wood, by the way, which is nice, whereas Bio has completely abandoned the wood lines. This push has looked decent at a couple different moments for Bio, but as long as Frost continues to stall this out by sniping the siege, long term he's going to win off of wood control alone. Really good SO shots into the camels. There's a lot of Teutonic Knights in here now, so the camels are finding it a little bit tougher to snipe the siege, but the bombard cannons are doing a really good job of that behind. SO just can't get through the throng of bodies to actually hit the siege. And of course the hand cannons will be destroying the Teutonic Knights once they move forward enough. I don't know, man. Trebs being sniped, but I think no, they don't quite take out another castle, okay. Thought this was a little bit more on fire than it is. The issue here for Bio is if you can't win the one big fight, I don't think you can cut and like try and do the mobile game, right? With Teutonic Knights as your main unit. So you're kind of all in on the single push strategy here, I think. Frost also buying wood already. So he is really thinking about the long game. It seems like Frost isn't too worried about pushing here. He's happy to just play the long game out so far. I think Frost needs more fronts. I'm a little surprised. Like, he cut here, but then didn't do anything with it. He, like, tech is open here, but hasn't done anything with it. But I suppose the lose condition here for Frost is getting pushed down into his eco, right? So maybe he's thinking it's fine to just survive from the middle push. If you try to play sides, a little bit easier for your opponent to push in the middle. I don't know. I am surprised still, but maybe that's the thinking. Paladins. Mostly in the fight now. There's not too many Teutonic Knights, which should be very bad for the Teutons. Camels will do much, much better against the Paladin than the Teutonic Knights. And yeah, the Paladin just do not survive long enough. They're trying to dive through here, but Frost is so good at unit control in these big groups like this. Like body blocking the Paladin, trying to swoop in on the squishier ranged units. He's really good at that. And then through he dives on both sides, and he's going to snipe a bunch of siege. A couple Teuton scouts have been misclicked in here. Good shots into the camels, but I just don't know if it's enough. Frost is, I guess, technically pushing. He's just taking out TCs for now, but these elephants could start to actually go through important things. Neither player really able to pay attention to that super hard. Okay, camels being intercepted a bit, but then if the Teutonic Knights are trying to chase or counter flank, suddenly the camels can just go through the middle. And I don't know. Like, Frost always has these tiny groups of camels in the back, picking off siege as they come forward, right? It's really good, really well done. Bio down to 20,000 wood is all. He is back on wood somewhere. Don't know where, though. Does still have wood lines in behind the walls as well. Where's Bio taking wood? Am I crazy? Oh, right here. I mean, the forward positioning is not bad for Bio. So maybe we'll have wood access still going forward. Like, this is completely wide open on the sides. Frost has not really done anything there. Frost has paused, but said nothing. And Frost says he has lag. Okay. Okay. Had lag was gone for 30 seconds, says Frost. Okay. I didn't notice him being gone for 30 seconds, to be honest. It still looked pretty, like the fights were going pretty good for him. Does need to... I mean, Frost is kind of on the pushback here. Capture Age, of course, does not like when the game is paused. That's going to stutter a tiny bit here, but okay. It's denying Frost off of some wood lines. But Frost kind of on the pushback. Buildings going down for Bio. There's only one more castle in the middle. Lost 2, I believe, already. I don't know, man. I think the Teutonic Knights just don't kill the camels fast enough. I think that's the issue here, right? The camels can kind of just ignore the Teutonic Knights and continuously snipe the siege and feel pretty good about it. Still an elephant here for Frost, causing mayhem. Also, Frost is now taking wood over here, since he was denied off of this lumber camp for the most part. Frost will need Trebs if he wants to push too much further. He does have 2 Trebs, but they're kind of body blocked by all the hand cannons. So they can't quite get into the fight just yet. Camel's running through. More Teutonic Knights, though. They're going to dive forward, try and snipe, or at least push back the Bombard Cannons. And they do get at least 1 Bombard Cannon. Paladin now being intercepted by the camels. That's good value. Just having these little armies sitting on both sides is so good for Frost, it feels like. This should be a bad fight, though. But I guess as long as the hand cannons are still firing from behind, it's fine, right? Castle is beginning to be trebbed down. I don't know where the second treb went for Frost. But still got some stuff back here. Treb goes down, so Castle remains standing for now. I almost wonder if Bio needed less economy here. I know these are very gold expensive units. I mean, I guess there's not that much res in the bank, right? Maybe that's not the case, but it just feels like Frost is always fighting with like 60, 70, 80 more military units. And I think that's hard to overcome. Jonathan really trying to get through here. He's really trying to get through to get a good shot off, but just cannot. Just cannot make it, man. More production buildings. Frost trying to go for the forward walls, but they are somewhat denied. And Frost is finally paying attention to the left-hand side. All right. We were waiting for something to happen over here. Finally, it's beginning to happen. Frost is, for the first time, actually having a true push. This is going to draw a lot of military from Bio over to the left, which means it's going to have even less in the middle. And you can see the vast numbers differences in the middle right now for the two players. I think the timing on this was really good. Even though this is going to get cleared up, Frost still walls out this wood line. And it's going to take forever for this army to get back to the middle, right? If Frost just abandons this push right now, that's 50 Teutonic Knights that are going to take forever to get back towards the middle. In the meantime, Frost has gained a lot of ground. Castle will go down for Bio. Forward walls and gates as well to reclaim this middle area, as all the Teutonic Knights have to slowly shuffle their way back home. Some of them are trapped in here, actually. But really good ground gained from Frost. Has to be a little careful now that he's really close to the siege workshops, right? SOs can pop out here and get great shots into the hand cannons for free, quote unquote. We're seeing some pretty good shots. If the hand cannons all go down, it becomes a little bit of an issue. That's kind of the only thing that is killing the Teutonic Knights is the hand cannons. We've lost quite a few. I think it's still fine here, though, for Frost. He's still taking out production buildings behind with the Trebs. I actually really like the Siege Elephants being added in as well. They're just a really thick unit, right? So they're almost fulfilling the same purpose as the Camels in that they're just body blocking the Teutonic Knights. They can do really good damage against the siege if they get into them as well. I guess they're slower than the camels, right? So that's a little awkward, but... Okay, there's no pushback on the left-hand side. Both players have once more focused fully into the middle push, but Frost has gained a lot of ground. He's gotten a lot of walls up. That was another nice shot in the hand cannons. I think Frost will get pushed back here a little bit, but it buys him a lot more time, right? And time is what Frost will win off of long term here. I like that Bio is taking wood because he's really struggling on wood already. Yeah, you're really happy with this fight if you're Frost, I think. The only thing, I suppose, is you can't snipe the siege, so they might get really good shots in here. Bombard cannon's getting hit. Hand cannon's getting hit, so maybe this isn't a good place to fight for Frost, actually. Lots of siege going down. Frost down to only 5 bombard cannons. I have no idea where they are or if they're in the fight. Maybe they're just reinforcing, because I only see one here. Paladin for Bio. As the camels try and roll out and snipe the siege again. They'll get a couple, but not everything. Frost is down to 300 total population. Where's the queue for Frost suddenly? He's out of gold. Wait a minute. Queues up another 45 hand cannons, but no camels in the queue. Momentum maybe switching back here. Oh, this is where the bombard cannons are. They're taking out the wood line. Interesting. Okay. I don't know if that's... I guess that's good. Good pushback. The only issue for Bio here is we need the siege. It's going to be petards, which does interrupt the Teutonic Knight production a little bit, which is maybe why we're seeing so many Paladin being added in right now. But we need to get through these walls. Here come the petards to do just that. Paladin roll through. Petards trying to get in on the gates. Okay, there we go. Another layer down. Frost buying stone at fairly high prices. Not exorbitantly high yet, but we're getting there. More SO behind. But Frost back up to 69 hand cannons, which is pretty nice. Camels have hit the field again. Frost is back up to pop cap. All right. It was a little spooky there for a minute for Frost. It's all right. We're back where we need to be. But still risky fights here. Petards aren't finding too much value. The SO really trying to get through the throng and get good shots in. There we go. At least one lands on the hand cannons. I see a lot of petard explosions going off in here, which I don't know. In theory, I like spamming out petards just to take out random walls. But 40 petards could be 40 more Teutonic Knights, right, on the field right now? And the fight is suddenly not going super well for Bio. It's mostly Paladin here for him. Gonna snipe some villagers that are trying to re-wall behind. But Frost gaining ground on the left-hand side while this is happening. I suppose some Paladin kind of getting in on the hand cannons is nice. Frost is a master waller from what I have seen so far, so I haven't really checked him for holes, but I don't think there are any. Whoa! A little too far forward. Hand cannons getting flattened. And no more petards, which means more Teutonic Knights on the field, and the fight surges back into Bio's favor a tiny bit here at least. Hand cannons really had to back up off the fight, so this fight should be really good for Bio, as long as the hand cannons are not firing. There we go. Frost gets them back engaged. We've got capped rams coming out for Bio. It's not the best unit against fortified walls, but I suppose they do take them down eventually. Paladin roll through, actually getting a pretty good engagement against the siege and the hand cannons. A lot of gunpowder going down there behind. That's nice. Frost has 50 petards. He's coming in the north. I like this a lot. What did we say? There's no walls behind, right? As soon as the front walls go down, Bio might be in trouble. He does notice. He's going to start panicking up some walls behind. Are they in time? That's a lot of petards from Frost. If he can actually click the walls fast enough with them. Bio responds, but the walls have been breached. Camels. Can they get through? One camel gets through, two. Okay. But we don't want to take this fight, though. If Frost is going to... What's he going to do with these petards? Just going to start nuking out markets? Military units didn't get through. Really. Just the petards did. Bio is having to react to that, though, so Frost is gaining ground again in the middle. Also denying all this wood with these bombard cannons, rather, is nice. Okay, petard's just kind of taking a tour through Bio's back base. Frost is winning at the front, though. You can see how much military is back here, right? There's 13 Paladins, 6 Teutonic Knights. There's another 5 Paladin. Another couple Teutonic Knights. Focus as well, that Bio cannot pay forward. Don't know where these petards were going off to, but they get sniped by the Crenellation Castles. Really good pushback, and this means Frost can again fortify his middle positioning. He just needs to push back once every now and then. Because look at this, only 3,500 wood in the bank, rather, for Bio. Can't really take any wood forward. Kind of has to start taking these wood lines now, I think. These petards might actually kill these Teutonic Knights. We're gonna kill one. Nah, I guess the second one will survive. And this is also the risky run, right? Some military is still back here for Bio. It's only 18 Paladin and the Teutonic Knight, I suppose. So that's not too bad. But 2,100 wood. How much wood is actually back here? 13k. That'll keep us going for a bit. But still 93,000 wood in the bank for Frost, and really can take all this middle wood whenever he wants to, realistically. I think Frost's gonna do it. The wood prices are still not bad, actually. The wood prices are surprisingly cheap, still. Bio needs to be buying that every chance he has. Though, I don't know if it matters anymore. I think he might just be dead. Long term here, has not been able to push Frost enough. It takes so long to push Frost through all these walls and gates. And even though the main composition for Bio is food gold, he always has to have this siege in here, right? And that's just not going to be viable here long term. Hindustanis, man. What a civ. What an amazing civ. I never would have, before I started watching these sets, I wouldn't have ever thought of Hindustanis as being a good Michi civ. Because I always, when I hear Michi, I think like elephants, like really good siege, super strong, like singular units, maybe even like a Teutonic Knight. Hindustanis with really bad siege outside of their bombard cannons, but just does not matter because their camels are so good. And, well, their hand cannons are really good here too. Frost has taken really good advantage of the hench hand cannons, as more elephants are coming through in the north, trundling through. Lots of walls here. I don't know if Frost is really going to get through, but just forcing Bio to pay attention to the sides, right? And you can see Frost already just chunking off more wood lines in the middle. Every little bit of wood line Frost can secure away from Bio. It's just better and better and better for him. But Bio fights on. He still has wood. Still has to go through this wood in his base. There's still a chance he can maybe get one strong push going in the middle. There's not too many camels on the field, but there's no siege, right? So this is the issue now that Bio starts to run into, where even if he starts taking good fights, like if there were siege onagers here, it'd be so good for him. These would be massive shots into the hand cannons because there's no camels in front, but can't afford siege onagers. Does not really matter. Shoot! Shoot! No! These are so expensive. We can't lose the SO like that for free, man. That's so expensive. Okay, the elephants are almost through, and there actually is an army to come through with them this time. So Frost might actually get into the trade. And I think he will. Right? I don't think these villagers will make it in time. If Frost is able to immediately move through. Yeah, it's fine. Frost through in the middle. Oh, there's only siege onagers in the middle for Bio, and they just get sniped by a couple camels. Man, it's a travesty. This has to be a GG moment, surely. There's a bit more wood in the bank for Bio now because he's chewed his way through the wood lines in the back, but camels get to chill out in the trade line. And there's no more siege left in the middle for Bio, so even though he's winning this fight, he can't really push through all these walls. Nice raids here by Frost as well. Didn't get the walls up, but still raid the wood lines regardless. And the trade is having to be sequestered. Everything's going down here for Bio. Frost sending more military here, actually. But this is so painful. Having to send these Teutonic Knights into the back of your base is so rough. It's actually so bad. And sending all that military to the back means that Frost can start to win the fight in the middle again. Paladin can't really respond to the camel raids either. Elephants roll forward, Trebs are forward, so more castles might start going down for Bio, and Frost is just claiming every inch of ground available to him. Back up to 10k wood is Bio. So this might still not quite be the GG moment as he clears the stuff up in the back of his base, but I do think the chances of Bio being able to win this game have gone pretty much to zero at this point. Happy to be proven wrong, though. A comeback from this spot would be amazing. Frost even getting value with hand cannons down here, plinking away at the Teutonic Knights as they try to get back to the front. And one castle has gone down for Bio. I think this one will also go down before the Trebs do, because again, there's just no siege here, right? And the Paladin, nice quick gate there by Frost, while he's doing everything else, somehow getting that gate down to funnel the Paladin around. One Treb goes down, but the castle goes down. Castle's really not replaceable anymore. Let's see, 500 gold per 100 stone, so it is very expensive to buy yourself another castle. Resources looking really bad for Bio. Doesn't really have anything in the bank. Frost still sitting pretty at 85,000 wood, as well as a pretty hefty supply of gold and food. Frost actually deleted some more eco back here. I didn't notice when that happened. But Frost did delete some trade and some more villagers to get even more military on the field. So he's currently 240 to 120 military on the field in Frost's favor. I don't think Frost really needed to do that, but I think it's been fine. I think it's been fine. Bio's going to dip down. He's actually not even at 400 total population space right now because of the castles that have gone down, but struggling to stay above 300 total population. The resources just are not there. And I do think we probably will see a legitimate GG here somewhat soon. Only one Shrub left for Frost, so he still can't really push here super fast, I suppose. SO comes out and immediately dies for Bio. That's unfortunate. And, well, he's up 15 Siege Onagers, but out of one Siege Workshop. I don't even know where that Siege Workshop is anymore. All the Siege Workshops were here before they went down. Where are these guys coming out of? Oof, all the way back here, so they have to go through this way. I'm starting to run out of things to say. It's been a really good fight for Bio. He pushed Frost back really far, right? Frost was like, I mean, you can see it. He was here multiple times. And he only kind of has even one layer of wall. Yeah, he doesn't even have a full wall behind this. So Bio was fully one wall away multiple times from being in Frost's eco. But we saw it a lot with Ula the other day too, right? Ison had a number of really good pushes in that set. Was so close to taking especially that second game multiple times, but it seems like the players that end up winning just hold 1 inch before they start losing their actual game-losing positions. Frost in this one knew how much ground he could give up at all times and how much he couldn't. And all the castles go down for Bio at the front now. Siege getting sniped. Dipping down towards 200 population now. Only at 330 population space now with the castles all gone. He's buying food now, which feels terrible. That feels really bad. And technically Frost is through the walls here in the middle even. Long-range hand cannons sniping out the siege even. Bio is still on wood somewhere here, but the GG has to be called. And Frost takes game 1 with 5,600 camels created. It's tough, man. Frost. I actually do want to see. Guess that's here. Okay, let me actually parse these numbers. That's 30,000 more wood collected for Frost. It's actually not that much, really. Food collected, I mean, like, total res collected was quite close. But I guess Frost was winning fights with camels, right? And Bio was only winning fights with siege. So that's where the extra wood comes from for Frost, I suppose. Really well done by Frost, of course. This push, I thought it might come in a little earlier, but it came in when it needed to come in. Things were looking a little grim for Frost in the middle at a couple points, but splitting Bio's attention was really nice. It always allowed Frost just a little gasp of air, and that's game one. All right. So Frost takes game one. And we are already into game two here. So let us jump in. I think we've just hit it perfectly with the spec delay, such that we will not have to wait. We have a little... It's almost a reverse match, but not quite. But alright, let's jump right straight into the game. And we'll talk about it. Okay, welcome in. Game 2, Frost 9 versus Bio here in the Mitchie DM Gauntlet. Potentially decider match if Frost can do the reverse. We had the Teutons versus the Hindustanis last game. This time Frost chooses the Teutons. It's not the Hindustanis for Bio. Instead, it is the Gurjaras. So, very similar civilization, but... important to note, still has hand cannons, but they are not the long-range hand cannons of the Hindustanis. I do think that mattered quite a bit in the previous game. For what it's worth, chakrams normally are quite good against melee units, but I think they do quite badly against the Teutons in particular. The extra armor really... kind of hard counters the chakrams, so we shall see what the game plan is here. Even the same orientation. We had the camel player top side and the Teuton player bottom side. Woodlines. Ooh, this is a really bad woodline actually for Frost. Ooh, this is really bad too. Terrible woodlines for Frost. He can't get the markets down in the corner. And this is a really ugly one to path around. Bio on the other side, I will switch this back to standard briefly. Has a pretty wide open trading lane. That's nice. Also, Gurjaras don't have the caravansary, right? I wonder what the thinking was here, going Gurjaras rather than Hindustanis. They have elephant archers, which in certain matchups could be better. I don't think. Well, do you go elephant archer against the Teutons? My natural reaction is it's going to be SO, Scorpion, whatever, right, from the Teutons, and usually that does pretty well against elephant archers, but maybe there's an argument to be made. They do have the extra melee armor on their camels and their elephants, which maybe is relevant here. The boom again, better for Bio. I guess that's probably a treadmill crane difference though, right? In this case, probably does actually matter quite a bit for getting the TCs down faster, even though Bio had the walking time of moving his villagers to the wood line for the TCs. I think still treadmill crane probably helps out quite a bit there. So, again, I think it has to be mostly Teutonic Knights for Frost here, right? Because it's not Imperial Camels, but they're pretty close. They do the extra bonus damage, plus they have the armor, they cost less, which only kind of matters on Mitchie DM Turbo. I guess they also train faster. That's probably not super relevant either here because of turbo. Everything produces so fast anyway, it's usually not an issue. But I do think Paladin, even Teuton Paladin, probably not the play against the Grijara Camels as a main composition. Frost going for a bunch of castles on the right-hand side. It actually matters quite a bit where your castles are if you want to produce the Teutonic Knights, right? Because if you put all your castles over here and you're trying to make Teutonic Knights, it takes them a year to get up to the top side if you need to swing that way. He's making some castles up here too. Naturally, with how the wood line has spawned, this would normally be where Frost pushes from. This would normally be where Bio pushes from. But that's not necessarily the case. Frost has also collected his relic. So he's going to be getting that relic advantage. Bio did not collect his relic last game. Doesn't really matter. Because gold is not usually your issue in this tournament, but I still like to see players get it. It's still, you know, it does rack up. It's still an extra 10k gold by the end of the game or something, which sometimes can be important. Okay, both players are basically pop capped. Frost is actually going to be one population short of pop capped because he deleted his TCs before he quite got the last unit out. And Bio is not quite there yet because he has switched from villagers to trade carts. Alright. Down go the TCs for Bio. Both players heavy on the wood lines right now. Walls have not really come down yet for Frost. He's getting there, though. I guess he wants to chop through this little arm of wood so we can get the straight walls. I don't mind this, actually. Frost is going to have quite a few castles on both sides, right? So, as long as you have your control groups figured out correctly, you can produce from whichever side you need them on. I guess this is still kind of awkward if you end up having to fight down the middle, but it's not that far of a trip, I suppose. Alright, Frost has worked through this wood line, but he's not even chopping this one. So I guess he's happy to have his trade line forward like this. Might not matter, but, I mean, sometimes an extra, like, 12, 15 tiles is important in these fights. One thing I notice different between Frost and Bio is Frost almost exclusively makes gates, right? He's got wall segments in here, but it's mostly gates. Whereas Bio is just like all wall. He's got one gate. Okay, sorry, two gates across the entire map. Which it doesn't matter for Bio as much because Bio super front loads the walls and then has all of his eco behind. So theoretically, Bio will just have all of his production buildings in front of the walls anyway, and then hope he doesn't get pushed. Whereas Frost kind of intersperses his production a little bit more, like behind the walls, right? So he needs the gates. So interesting difference. Different style. Anyway, we've reached the 16-minute mark, actually. Bio a little bit behind on the military production. He was trying to greed boom it out a little bit here. Now he's going to start producing Shrevamsha Riders. Ooh, I didn't consider Shrevamshas. Is that good? They technically dodge the siege projectiles, but in big numbers of siege, you can't dodge all of them. So it seems a little awkward, but I guess they also don't do terrible damage against the siege. Maybe it's okay. Frost is here with the Trebs. He's going to be taking out production buildings on the left-hand side. And, well, it's going to be mostly the same composition here from Bio that we saw from Frost in the last game. But again, not quite as long-range hand cannon, so they have to be a little bit closer to the action, which is not where they want to be. Good job by Bio, though. Charging through here and sniping out the siege. He's going to get most of it. I don't think he quite gets these last 3 Trebs for now, but as long as the siege onagers go down, I think that's the most important unit to die here. Frost thinking about bombard towers behind. Okay, so he really likes the push on the left-hand side here. I don't know if... I don't think I like the Shravamshas, right? What's the difference in HP between these units? 90 and 140. Yeah, I think the camels are just better. Both of them will be doing 1 damage to the Teutonic Knights. But the camels just survive way longer, right? I don't think the extra speed and stuff matters necessarily against the Teutons because they're so slow anyway. There are maybe some Civ matchups where the extra speed on the Shravamshas make it that much easier to dive through on the siege, but I don't know if that's necessarily the case against the Teutons. Yeah, you can see the difference a couple of range makes, right? Suddenly the Teutonic Knights are kind of getting in on the hand cannons where it felt like Bio just could never take a fight against the hand cannons with anything but its own siege. That's a nice SO shot. Couple nice SO shots, actually, from Frost. Frost buying stone. He is really hard committing to the bombard tower push, which normally I would say is not a good idea if your main unit is your unique unit, but Frost has so many castles behind this. It's crazy how much stone Frost has managed to buy. But it was kind of uncontested, right? Bio not really buying any stone here. I guess you don't... Yeah, actually, Bio has no castles. He didn't make a single castle. Which, again, you don't need it for the chakrams, but castles are still nice to have. And it would prevent your opponent from buying quite so much stone as well. So I do wonder if that is also something that maybe would have been a good idea. But, alright. Tell me if you've seen this fight before. Teutonic Knights taking a good fight against the cavalry, but getting shot in the back by the hand cannons. Also, just like, the hand cannons can never shoot back against the SO, right? The Hindustani hand cannons with the extra range can kind of trade against the siege onagers if they really need to. That it's just not the case without that extra range. Okay, we are mixing in some elephant archers. I wondered if this was viable. They are kind of dying to the siege, though, which was my main concern with them in the first place. Elephants trying to dive on the bombard towers, not really finding too much value there. Yeah, it also gums up this too, right? If these were all... Oof, big shot. If these were all Hindustani hand cannons, they all could have been firing there without bumping into each other. Nice dive here by Frost. And he's chopping wood as well. Which is probably just for more space, but also long-term taking away a wood line is not a bad idea either. And now we're more into Frost's wheelhouse here, right? I said Frost really likes the one center push kind of thing. His Civ wasn't really designed for that in the previous game, whereas his opponent's Civ was, so kind of playing against his style, his Civ was. Now, this is exactly what Frost likes doing. One big push, he's got big, slow units, siege he can micro, just building so many bombard towers behind, it's actually crazy. And Frost is happy to get good shots in on the Elephant Archers as well. And yeah, no castles. One castle now comes up for Bio behind. I mean, Gurjara's... They get all the castle upgrades, right? I still really feel like castles are so important, whether you're producing from them or not. I don't know, man. GG incoming. Yeah, this one might not be quite as long as the previous game. It might not be. This one might be a little bit faster. We're very close to the trade already, right? If Frost pushes another 2 dozen tiles, that's kind of just the end of the game, I think. Yeah, and he's getting such good shots with the SO, man. Bio not quite as good at diving through with the cavalry to snipe the siege, so Frost is getting so much value out of his SO. Alright, he's going to lose some now that I caster cursed him, but... Shrubs roll forward, they can start taking out the singular castle that Bio has constructed this game, or just take out the production building, who cares? Honestly, it doesn't even matter. We don't even need to take out this castle. We just push through here. There's the trade. Boom. Camels roll out. Military units are starting to wane a little bit here for Frost. He loses some of his siege. Bombard towers also, they're like... I don't know. I understand that bombard towers are very good, but they just don't seem to protect things a lot. It still seems so easy to roll through and snipe the siege. I don't know. Sometimes I wonder if this many bombard towers is worthwhile or not. But they are still doming a lot in here. And production buildings going down. Also kind of rough for Bio. The Elephants not really making it through all the Teutonic Knights. I guess they got a couple of hits in there. But Trebs are going to go down for Bio now. We're building bombard towers underneath this castle now. Frost is, which is a little bit gutsy. Villager gets sniped. No, not the chakrams, bro. It's so bad. I love chakrams. Don't get me wrong. They're one of my favorite units in the game. I really like chakrams a lot, but this is not the matchup for them at all. They do 1 damage to everything here, I'm pretty sure. Alright, bombard towers are being denied at the very least. And this fight shouldn't be too bad for Bio right now. He's got hand cannons against the Teutonic Knights, and he does have camels against the Paladin. But more siege being sniped up top. Frost even able to dive through to snipe siege with one of the slowest units in the game. And the castle is going to start getting trebbed down. But there, like I said, the fight should be pretty good. Teutonic Knights only have... How much pierce armor? 6. That's still a lot. But I guess it's still 5 damage that the Elephant Archers are doing specifically. I was curious how much the Elephant Archers actually contribute here. Ooh, huge shots by Frost into the hand cannons, though. Lots of SO in here for Frost. Capped Rams again. More Capped Rams. We've seen multiple Capped Rams this series. Yeah, and again, Frost is so good at body blocking. Like, the amount of camels that have actually been able to engage on these SO is not high. Bombard Cannon's getting good shots behind, though. That's nice. Yeah, Frost trying to get a little cheeky ram push happening on these walls. That's not quite going to happen yet. But again, Frost is taking wood behind this, right? He's actually selling wood. Got a little bit of a push happening down here, but not really. But he's just sucking up all these wood lines. So Frost actually had less wood gathered once the fighting began. During the boom portion, Bio was actually ahead on wood. You can see that is very much not the case anymore because Frost just continues to linger on these wood lines. Whereas Bio just completely shuts off from gathering wood, right? He could be on these wood lines. But tons of trade, not many villagers. You need quite a bit of food for the Gurjara composition, even though they do spend less food on everything. So it's tough to balance and still have enough bills for wood. But, you know what? We've got to push back here. Bombard towers are going down. These are very, very expensive buildings. We're already at 400 gold per 100 stone. So it becomes quite expensive to try and rebuild these things. Nice engagements here with the Paladin, though. Finding some hand cannons that spread out in the wrong direction. So just kind of gets one nice shot off. And where's the cavalry? Camels show up, but is there enough here? Big shots into the hand cannons. You always need the meat shield, right? The camels and the Shirvamsha, both of them do virtually nothing in these fights. Well, the camels get value if paladins show up, but they really just need to be there so that your ranged units are not getting flattened over and over and over again. Really good push, though. All right, capped ram push now on the right-hand side for Frost. It's just capped rams, but you know what? They're getting through the walls. And this is the issue with Bio's walls suddenly. There's no production buildings here, right? And there's no production buildings behind, so suddenly he needs to rebuild gates into his big walls and try to scramble up production buildings behind in his farming eco. That's very annoying. That's the downside of how Bio walls himself. Needs more forward buildings. I'm a little surprised neither of them have very many forward buildings. Bio hasn't replaced any of his production buildings here, and Frost never made forward production buildings. He just made all these bombard towers. But I guess most of Frost's military are the Teutonic Knights, which you can't afford to build forward production buildings, so it makes a little bit more sense, I guess, for Frost. But still, some siege workshops a little bit closer to the front maybe would have been good for him. Rams go through a second layer of wall. And, you know, camels show up, but there are Teutonic Knights here. Can they save the Rams is the question. And it looks like the answer is no. So Frost does get through one more layer of wall, but does not breach the totality of the walls. And this is, again, this is what we saw in the last game, right? If Frost starts to get pushed in one area, he's so good about opening up a second avenue of attack, even though he has the slower civ this time. You can see the huge impact this has had on Bio's focus in this area, right? He's having to send so much down here. It's the faster unit, but it's still attention and focus that Bio has to spend down here instead of being able to focus up here. And Frost is going to clear up everything topside. Krebs, they don't care. They're rolling through the bombard cannons. They don't care. They are simply going for this castle. And you know what? They're going to make it too. There's just not enough military up here. Some are being filtered in now. This is the advantage of the somewhat nearby. They actually aren't going for the castle. They're trying to snipe the market? Okay. They really want to kill this market. I guess it is. I mean, the trade has to come all the way back here if that market goes down. And it is going to go down, so that will heavily impact the trade lines for the time being. Yeah, and you know what? We can take the castle out afterwards, too. It does not matter. I think this one's cooked, guys. The first game was really good from Bio, but Civ is playing straight into Frost's strength this time. Castle goes down. Camels roll out. Can they snipe all the siege here? Not really. I think they'll get it eventually, but it's not a great fight in the meantime. Hand cannons and scorpions taking some shots from SO. Meanwhile, look at the forward walls from Frost. Maybe he doesn't care about the forward production, but Frost loves a good forward wall. He's trying to spear straight through to the corner here so that he can fully cut off the trade line from Bio. Don't know if he's going to get it this immediately, I should say. He's kind of filter feeding his siege into the cavalry right now, which is not ideal. He might have to gather himself up a little bit more. What's going on down here? Nothing. We're not really re-walled, though. Okay, Bio is slowly re-walling himself on that side. I don't think Frost is too concerned about it. He's got some siege behind here, but mostly Frost is full focused top side. And where's the cavalry? It's not where it needs to be. SO into the hand cannons. And it's a massacre. Oh, it's a massacre. All the hand cannons going down. Brutal. There are still 70 hand cannons on the field even after that. But they aren't here. This is where they need to be. Okay, Bio is thinking about another cut. To be fair, Frost is not really walled behind this, so you might be able to push straight through the first wall and do damage behind. The question is, can you do that while also defending from this? And that's the difficult part. But you know what? I see cavalry on siege. That's a really good start. A lot of siege going down here for Frost. He doesn't have any Trebs or bombard cannons forward yet, though they are on the way. But he is on the last wall. And he notices the cut through the middle. Man, it's so tough against Frost. He does all the right things, you know? Gonna re-wall behind this. All the onagers went down in the middle for Bio, so he can't even cut around that without committing even more. Teutonic Knights trying to hack and slash their way through these walls. They're getting there. Oh my god, the trade. It was all bunched up. It was like in standby mode in the middle, and then suddenly you send it all forward. Gotta be careful when there's onagers around, man. Frost is going to break through the walls, but he's kind of taking a bad fight in order to do this. Oh no, not these shots into the hand cannons. Plumping up in the one tile. Oof. Siege goes down though. Frost has not actually made it through the walls with anything yet. This is where some paladin is nice. It's been a good fight for Bio. I thought Bio was going to be dead multiple times much earlier than this. He's held on really nicely. And try and push through the middle, but there's not much. I mean, there's like a lot here, but it's not what it needs to be, right? It's like all siege. It really needs like the stuff in front. Because these Teutonic Knights are about to wipe out the entire push by themselves. What? Frost getting cleared up in the north. He still has not been able to get through the walls with military yet. He's just pushed through them with siege. Cubs are going to go down. This is not going to be a good fight for Bio, though. Frost is actually committing quite a bit here now. So now, if there's Teutonic Knights here, now you need hand cannons here. And you don't really want to split up your hand cannons, right? Although maybe you do. Maybe if you split up your hand cannons, you don't lose all your hand cannons to 2 or 3 SO shots. Maybe that's not a bad thing. He's going down. Lots of hand cannons back here. 50 hand cannons behind the walls. Not really where they would ideally like to be, but maybe it is for the best for now. Hand cannons have arrived in the middle, so Bio might be able to push here. Frost has bought himself enough time to fortify behind this, though. So there's no longer just the one wall you need to push through. Now there's multiple layers. Big shots into the hand cannons. I don't know if this is such a bad place to have to fight, you know? Multiple one-tile gaps that all your military has to weave through. It just feels so bad against the SO. And now we're building archery ranges in the corner to try and get more hand cannons out here, but I think we're losing way too much space, man. That being said, push continues in the middle for Bio, trying to get the elephants through and kind of struggling to get them through the walls. But alright, you can start working away on another wall segment. Huge shots, though. This is the... So hard to do, man. Trying to micro your siege through all these stupid hand cannons in the middle. Like, the elephants just can't get through. Then you look back and all of your military has been flattened in the back. That's another market goes down, which means the trade line is really going to be ugly. We're kind of all in on this push. Well, a lot of hand cannons, but Frost has SO behind. And there's not a lot of hand cannons anymore. There's a pretty good amount of hand cannons still, and now there's not. Huge shots. Frost pushes back in the middle. He's kind of losing his forward here, but he's just ripping down walls behind. He's got bombard towers here. He's still getting big shots into the hand cannons. I think having such a forward position, look at the walls here for Frost. He's just crept forward with all these walls. Then the market's going to come back up here. I don't know if Bio realistically is going to be able to reestablish this trade line long term, but maybe. Frost vaguely pushing on the right hand side, but the big push is in the middle now for Frost. He says, all right, you want to cut through the middle? That's fine. I can go through the middle too. And there's only 2 layers of walls here for Bio until the eco is wide open. Gervamsha dodging some SO fire. And they will snipe some siege. But not all of it. More production going down for Bio. This is the other downside of having all of your production buildings in front of the walls. Is suddenly you've lost all your production before your opponent actually has to go through the walls. So I think that's another downside if you're being pushed. But alright, trade line has been briefly reestablished at the very least. Frost still pushing, kind of. Yeah, he's still pushing down here. He's just kind of making things awkward, trying to keep the walls up there for Bio. Another place you don't really want to have to look if you're Bio while you're doing everything else. So forcing the reaction, whether it's more walls behind or more military here, is really nice for Frost. Camels roll through. They're going to snipe out surely some of the Trebs here. It's not as good of an engagement as it looked like it was going to be. But at least a couple Trebs go down. Good SO shots on the camels from Frost, and now he's going to get some good ones on the hand cannons too. So many big bada booms today. It's been, you know what? It's fine. It's been good to see. Bio was getting good shots last game, and Frost has certainly gotten good shots this game. There's quite a bit of military here now. 20 to 30 Elite Teutonic Knights, and then some SO are also here to support the Rams. I'm still not sure Frost is actually going to get through all these walls, but he's starting to suck up a lot of military and getting big clear-ups on the front. Big clear-ups on the front. And he's also sending more stuff up top. Rewalls behind for Bio. And it's, I guess, the SO and the Teutonic Knights can go through the walls eventually, but no Rams or anything just yet. Bio clears up to push on the right-hand side, which is good. This is spooky, though. Hand cannons are getting good value firing from behind the walls until the SO show up. But wherever Frost goes, he's got more gates behind, right? So whenever he gains ground, I love how good he is about rewalling every inch of land that he conquers, even briefly. You give him an inch, he's going to put a wall down on it, or a gate, more likely. And we're through the walls again. Is this open behind here? I think it is. Forward castles for Frost. They would be good. I don't know if they're too expensive now. What's the price at these days? It's 500 gold for 100 stone. I guess it's only like 3,500 gold for a castle, right? Which is a lot of gold, but I mean, he's got gold. Maybe I wouldn't hate a castle up here, actually. That's the other issue for Bio, who has only made one castle this entire game, right? Is there's no trebs, and you can't go bombard cannons against Teuton castles. So it would be very awkward, even though Bio still has so much stone in the bank. It would definitely be awkward for him to deal with a forward castle now. That being said, Frost is pushing in regardless of a forward castle or not. So theoretically, maybe I would like to see it. Don't know if he needs it, though. He's got Paladin ripping through the hand cannons behind. Killed some of the trade. Markets are down again, so the trade has to come back here yet again. Cards ripped through all the walls. Frost is going to take further control over this corner with finally forward production buildings. He's finally building some forward production. He's come far enough. He doesn't want the siege to have to roll all the way from here all the way to here. He's going to just continue with the bombard towers. All right. They're not affected by... Or are they? No, they're not. I was going to say, they're not affected by crenellations, right? But no, they aren't. Yeah, I don't know. Is like 4 or 5 bombard towers in the corner here better than a castle? I'm kind of a bombard tower hater, to be honest. I know that they're objectively a good tower, but I don't know. They never feel like they do as much as I want them to. Okay, Shirvamsha dodging some Onager shots. But Frost is pushing basically across the entire front of Bio's base now. We're past the point of cutting extra lanes. It's just wide open battleground now for Bio. But kind of pushing stuff back here. The trade might be able to be okay again. But Frost pushing again in the south. He's coming in with more everything. Rams, SO, and Teutonic Knights coming in. This is the advantage of all these castles Frost built down here, right? Can produce Teutonic Knights pretty quickly from the south. And I don't know if Bio has noticed this yet. Okay, some military is coming down now, but a couple camels won't stop this. I get walls up behind. Bio is going to win the fight in the middle for now. Clears up all this stuff nicely. But Frost is all in the south. He's through the walls. Teutonic Knights march through. Skirmishers. That's a misclick. That's actually a terrible misclick to do. It costs wood, and they're just so bad. So hopefully he didn't make too many of them. I didn't notice how many were on the field to max. Bio's a tough guy to push, man. Even when Frost breaks through the walls, it's such a fight to actually, like, Frost destroys the walls repeatedly without being able to actually move through the walls. It's really good defense from Bio at the limit. Ideally, you don't want to have to hold with all your walls down, but you know what? If you can, it's still a positive. Frost back in the north, denies the market and the walls that Bio was trying to get back up, yet again. Still some fights happening in the middle, but not really so much from Frost. He's really trying to get in here. Lots of hand cannons. 150 hand cannons on the field for Bio right now. But, I mean, I guess they do well against everything but the SO, right? They do great against the Teutonic Knights. They do okay against the Paladin. Just gotta be careful about stuff like this happening. But there's not too much SO here for Frost. Frost has actually walled himself out. A little bit too many walls, not enough gates here for Frost. I say I like his forward walls a lot, but not if you're preventing your military from coming through. Going to stymie that a little bit, but Frost is through again in the north. More Paladin in the trade. Bio down to only 72 trade carts. His resources are looking real sketchy as well. Down to only 7,000 wood. Okay, Frost figured it out. And Teutonic Knights will come through again. This should be an okay fight for Bio. But this is a disaster up here. And even gold is starting to become an issue for Bio, which still 71 trade carts is decent, but they're only going to be getting, what, 39 gold per trip now? Not a lot. It is not a lot. And this is the decider match if Bio ends up losing. So we're going to hang on as long as humanly possible. Still pop capped, to be fair. We're almost at 200 hand cannons because basically everything that dies is replaced by a hand cannon. Doesn't matter if it's a trade cart, a villager, another hand cannon, a camel. Everything is kind of replaced by hand cannons when they die. So lots of hand cannons will be here for Bio, but trade line has been thoroughly denied. Frost getting more bombard towers up forward, and the GG has to be called. Frost takes the series 2-0. Really good. Both games were really well fought by Bio. I think of Frost as a guy that it's very easy to be steamrolled by Frost like immediately, right? So lasting hours in both of these games, over an hour in game both times. It was really good defense by Bio, but Frost is just indomitable. Cannot stop this man. He just does. Frost does like everything really well. There's no, there's no like little things that he skips over, which can happen sometimes, especially if you just think you're the better player. I think it can be natural sometimes to like not do the little things because you think it won't matter in the end, but Frost does all the little things. He always has the gates. He does all the gating super well. He's diving for siege with his melee units constantly. He's keeping his own siege alive by controlling his army really well around them. He's just amazing. What can I say? So GG's. Frost moves through where he will face Ula in the next round. I'm actually really hyped for that game. I think that set could be amazing because both Ula and Frost have looked really, really good so far in this tournament. I also think they're kind of similar players, where they both kind of like the middle push more than the opening sides. I think probably Ula will have to change that up. But they both can also play sides, as we've seen here, right? Frost is by no means stuck to one push. He's happy to open up multiple lanes and stuff, so should be good. I'm excited for that. Bio. Let me pull up the bracket again. Okay, Bio drops down to I'll bring us over here. Bio drops down to a place where the opponent is still quite far away from being decided. Tailfeather and Falafel play tomorrow, I believe. And then whoever wins that will play Goldie, and whoever wins that will play Bio. And Frost moves through. Excuse me. To play Ula. That should be a really good set. I'm excited for that one. Okay. Well, that was a good set. It was a fairly short one. Not a super short one, but a fairly short one. I'll give Frost his point here. I think that's going to be it for me today. It's a really beautiful day outside for once in New York, where I live. So I'm actually going to go for a bit of a hike, I think, here. Round 4 will utilize Civ Draft. Oh, nice. I like that. I like that. That'll be good. Give a little more variety. As much as I like seeing a bunch of camels and a bunch of Teutonic Knights flashing at each other for 2 hours, the variety will be nice too. Get a little variance in there. I like that. Thanks for casting. Thank you, Anomaly, for all that you do. And of course, as always, thanks to the players for playing. That is always the big one. Thank you guys as well for hanging out with me today. Excuse me. I appreciate it so much, you guys hanging out in chat. Ison, Anomaly, Kako. I really appreciate it. It's always fun having people hanging out with. All of that stuff. I might be able to do the falafel hail game tomorrow, but maybe not. I do have some things I need to do tomorrow. So, if things line up right, I might be able to, but maybe not. Otherwise, still more sets on the horizon, so I shall return. Not casting tail. I would like to, but I think I cannot, unfortunately. But we'll see. So one last time, I liked casting tail the first time. It was good. He's a good player, man. So he did. No, he didn't lose to Otter, right? It was a 1-1 thing between Otter and him for their little show match when Otter's opponent didn't show up. I'll raid you guys into Otter. He is casting a co-op tournament right now, which which has been pretty good so far. I think he's casting the final of... Hopefully he's on to the Division 1 Grand Finals. But yeah. So, whether I see you guys maybe tomorrow, but certainly as more of these sets get scheduled, I will be back for this tournament. I'm loving this Michi tournament so much. So I shall return, whether it's tomorrow, sometime this week, whenever. I will see you guys around. Enjoy the rest of your day, night, wherever you guys are at, and I'll see you around, alright? Peace out.